See how I went from this to this. Right, today I just want to talk you through the creation, what I went through to make this track, my latest track, Can You See My Soul? So the first thing I started off with, I do all of my work in Abelton. That's the DAW that I use. With the track, I started off with the kick and bass. So really I wanted to have something that had more of a modern trance sort of feel, but also had it like a driving bass line. So the first thing we went was to basically figure out a kick. So you can see over here, I started off with a load of different trance kicks, say about, I don't know, 50 or so. Finding the right kick that had a decent amount of punch. And that was probably the first part, and then working through the mid bass, the low and the sub. In order to do that, I used Spire to basically create this sound. Just play you this sound from it. Which is just that sound. Then we add in that other one, this little sound, and those two together, then the sub, just to give you that sort of galloping bass line that I really like in a lot of tracks, and I'll often buy tracks with that in. The actual sub was done on Silent, so Silent 1 is the plugin I used to create that. Following on from there, that gives you that whole kick and bass. So once I was happy with that kick and bass driving bass line, I didn't have it quite as good as this, but I had the general idea. After that, we were then looking on the melody and probably the percussion. Actually, we probably added a bit of the percussion, so I'll just play that as well. There's a whole layer of percussion coming in at different areas. Some are audio loops, some are MIDI. It's a sort of a mixture of both just to get the right sort of feel. Different elements of automation on there as well. And also, what else have we got going on? Probably delay and reverb. Let's have a look. Different panning as well. I think I got panning on some of them somewhere. And then LFO tool just to duck out, you know, a certain amount for the kick. So you got this nice groove. And then we added in, then it was basically the melody. I'll just single that out itself. Add that in. So this is the main melody part. Which part should we give you? We'll probably do it from here. So this is the main part, and at the beginning you can see here we just do sort of a teaser of the main part. So we use Spire again for that. Just found this lovely sort of sound, nice sort of plucky sound there, and that's layered up because one of them is more, that one's way more reverb and just a lot more going on, echo and delay. This one not so much, but when you combine the two, you get a really nice sound. So there they are together. And once I'd got all of that sorted out, really just getting a nice groove, a nice sort of synth with that uplifting vibe, we basically brought in some pads. What are the pads done on? Pads are done on Spire. So I think it's mainly Spire and Silent for One that we've used for the main plugins for all the sounds. After all of that, we then went looking for a vocal. My go-to mainly for vocals, if I haven't got a real artist singing, I will go to Loop Cloud, because they provide different vocal packs where you can get lots of different samples where they're saying different things. So I'll just play you one of the samples. We'll try and do it actually without any of the effects on. I'll just turn the effect off. With this as the effect rack. So it sound more like this, I think, without anything on. If I can just single that one out. Can you see my soul? Take out the, just take all these off. Hang on. I just want to feel love again. There we go. I think we're in there now. I dream of you and me. So that's about any effects on. The only thing I think I've done is probably play around with the speed of it a little bit, just so that it's in time with the track, which is 140 BPM. So you're basically starting off with a very sort of dry vocal. I just want to feel love again. Like that, and then you basically put it through the processing, in which we basically EQ it, add compression, saturation, reverb, and then you get just a lot nicer sort of effect where it's sounding how it is in the actual track. And then we got heaps of layering and doubling up, just different reverbs and echoes and things like that I just wanted to have individually on each channel. So that's why you've got a ton of it in there, really, for all those different vocal channels. Following down to the bottom, we've got all the white noise here. So we've basically got, you know, build-ups like this. Well, that's a fall, but yeah, you get the same sort of idea if you're doing a build-up. Alright, so that's a bit of a gated build-up, that one. Then we got, here's one of the main build-ups. Play you this one. Alright, so there's another one. What else we got in here? Yeah, these ones, which is just sort of like a nice sort of white noise to have in the background. That's just sort of just building up and then fading out. So I've got that throughout the track just to add a bit of atmosphere. Yeah, so that's really pretty much all the different elements that make up the track. So yeah, we're in the breakdown here. Basically got just some other sounds and layering going on. Once again, Inspire for that one. Another Spire one happening there. What have we got on this channel? This one is another melody. We've got some crazy EQing going on just to sort of really trying to bring in that sparkle in the high end. That one's also Spire. What about this one? This one is Spire. Yeah, most of them, like I said, Spire and Silent for One. And then the acids as well, actually. This is something that I didn't mention. I did try doing a few different ones, but then they just got too dominating and you couldn't hear the other elements of the track. So I took them out and just stuck with this one. And as you can see where it's EQ'd, it's more in the high end, so it's not interfering with the kick and bass as much. And that sounds like this. So yeah, that it's just quite subtle in the background, but just gives you that extra sort of layer. What have we got here? Oh yeah, this is just some twinkle, sparkle sort of sound. Just found a really nice sample, which sounds like this, which you'll hear in the track. Yeah, it's just some of them like metal chimes. But yeah, it just gives it a nice sort of sound in the breakdown. Alright, once I had all those elements in, I'd go through and I'd EQ and just try and get everything sitting really nice within the mix. So there's pretty much all the elements of the track. Once I'd done that, we'd go into the mastering chain. For my mastering, I like to use Ozone and then FabFilter Pro L2 as basically just to give me that extra boost as my limiter, and that does a really good job. And then when I bounced it down, I would just try out a different amounts in terms of the processing. Like after a couple of attempts, I basically ended up with this one down here, and then I've just sort of stacked the different ones, just sort of seeing how far I could push the limiter. Trying not to get distortion, but getting the maximum amount of volume out that I can. So I went through that process and managed to get it to where it was before it was released. So that was yeah, fun little process. Also with Ozone, what have we used on Ozone? Let's get that up. So with Ozone, we start off with equalizer, just taking off some of the low end, and also adding a little bit of sparkle in the high end, taking out around 300 hertz just to take out some of that mud and just to give it a bit more sort of sound. Then went into the imager, basically, yeah, just affected certain areas of that. Yeah, so gave it a bit of adjustment. Then into the dynamics, basically, yeah, just got all that sorted out, bringing in a bit of compression. Once again, just some other, just refining really the sound, just to get it just as clean and as crisp as I could. Then used a bit of a maximizer here, which is also a limiter. So brought that in with a soft clipper, just to take out some of those spikes before then bringing it into the Pro L2, just to give it that last little boost to get the most volume that I could out of it. Yeah, and then it was all done and dusted. Just see how that's hitting in there. Yeah, so yeah, there's the Pro L2, and that was pretty much it, going through from start to finish. Well, finally finished it. My first uplifting trance track called Can You See My Soul? It's out now on Beatport. You can also buy it through my website, which is slightly cheaper than Beatport, but you can't preview it. So if you want to listen to a snippet of it, just check it out on Beatport. Additionally, I've also put it in the mix on the Mixcloud, so you can check that out. Just follow my usual links. I'll probably put one in the comments underneath this video.